Mind you, I did put this together a fortnight ago, and it's so therefore more or less totally out of date. Okay, now the problem, and I'm really focusing on goods that are going to Europe, more so than goods that are going to Britain. And who would have thought we'd be making that distinction? So we're looking at traffic going over Britain to using the land bridge, and the British land bridge. You can see we're here, and it's going down through that way, through Dover, Calais, and on. And indeed, that's part of that map is of the European transport network, the main network in Europe. And you see that right from the start, in devising these networks, they assumed that the significant traffic to and from Ireland would be going through Britain. The reason why it goes through Britain, by and large, is to do with time and frequency of service. So speed is the real issue. And of course then Brexit, with the controls that will be imposed, and really it doesn't matter whether it's a hard Brexit or a soft Brexit or any sort of middle Brexit, there are going to be controls, there are going to be delays. And anybody who's even been on the M50 and there's been a slight bump, you know what happens to the traffic and how things slow right down. And you can be sitting for an hour arising from something very minor. So the most minimal control is going to pose great problems, is going to mean that ships will miss connections and onwards. So there's got to be literally another way. You hear this photograph is a cheat. It's on the French-Spanish border, but it does give you the idea of what could well be happening at Holyhead or Dover if things go as badly as we feel they might. And this could frustrate particularly the pharma and the food sectors who rely on fast access to the continent, not just for deliveries to the continent, but for traffic going further onward by air, on a global basis, or indeed by sea to other places. So therefore, this brings you to the other question. This is an existing problem, but it will be a greater problem because Irish exporters are going to move quite quickly, I suspect, from purely focusing on the British market to focusing on other markets. And they're suddenly going to be faced with the issue of how in heaven's name do I get my product to those other markets. Equally, the deep sea lines, a number of them, if you're bringing stuff from China, the ship may come from China to, say, Southampton, transfer to come across to Ireland. That's going to be difficult in a Brexit situation. So that's another issue people have to face. Now, you really can't see this in the light, and my apologies for that, but very quickly, what this is about is that one of the things we're doing in the IEA, we're working as a subcontractor to Transport Infrastructure Ireland on this one. It's a European project. It's mainly to do with making a consolidated system throughout Europe for roads, road advisories, road signalling, traffic management, parking, etc. for trucks and trailers. But in the second part of this, that was put in slightly as an afterthought, little realizing that Brexit was going to come and it would become a major issue, is to inform people what other ways there are of getting to market on an east-west axis across Europe. You know, from Ireland across to the Benelux countries, through Germany, going perhaps Poland, the Baltic countries. So a route planner has been devised and worked on, and this is our specific, the IEA specific involvement in this, which is to be able to have an online system for any exporter or indeed importer in Ireland who says, I have a container or a load of goods to go to, say Poland from, say, Ballina. What are my options transport-wise? And this online route planner is exactly what will do that. So fundamentally on this, you enter your starting point, you enter your finishing point, in that case in Poland. Up comes from Ballina to Wrocław in Poland a whole list of options not only telling you how long it'll take, but who the transporters are, what the terminals are, what's done by ship, what's done by rail, and the whole basic picture, so that not only have you got a transport system and a number of transport options, but you also have a notion of the environmental issues involved as well. But even looking at that, and if anybody comes to this intermodal route planner, and we can talk about it one-to-one later if you like, you'll find that the number of options is absolutely enormous. In, say, that specific instance that we looked at, I think even from Ballina to Rotswolf, which wouldn't be the biggest places in the world, you can go by train to Dublin, by ship to Rotterdam, by train into Poland, or you can go by truck to Dublin, or you can go by train to Waterford and then another ship. You can go to Hamburg instead of Rotterdam. There are endless possibilities, so you've got to be able to find it out. But all this is saying is there are a lot of options, there are ways to go about things. And don't just necessarily do it the easy way. On the alternative, if you are on the trucking side, to go, instead of going land bridge, go directly to the continent by ferry. Now, the ship there is the Irish Ferries. Epsilon, Stena Line have a service as well. Between the two of them, we have 7 sailings a week from Ireland to Cherbourg. And the question is, which is far less than you would have to Holyhead. And the issue then is it something that Cherbourg should be developed, that instead of having a daily sailing, you have twice daily or 4 times daily. But of course, to do that, chickens and eggs, you need the traffic. And anyway, is it the right place to work on for a jump off into Europe? Now, as I say, since we've written this a couple of weeks ago, this issue has moved on quite considerably. We're working with the Department of Transport and the Maritime Development Office on this particular question, and with contacts and partners in a number of French ports and in a couple of the French transport organizations, one of which has got it set up in place where they could run rail connections to the terminal in Cherbourg that would enable trailers to be put on board the train and run south to the Spanish border unaccompanied. This would also tie up with other services coming into Cherbourg. It's at the beginning stages, but it is actually something that, as the IEA, we're very, very, very pleased to be involved with, working with the IMDO and with the Department of Transport, and really feel that the Department of Transport is genuinely interested in finding something that will enable Irish goods to get to the continent. I've got 5 minutes less than. Other French ports are contenders, and this is turning into quite a nice competition. So we'll see how that one evolves. There are other ways. If you're getting to Northern Europe, you don't have to go through Britain necessarily. There are 7 services a week to Dublin, to Rotterdam and Zeebrugge, spread between Rotterdam and Zeebrugge, organised by CLDN, a Belgian company, Luxembourg company. And through them, they have a network of onward services to Scandinavia and indeed down to Iberia as well. And similarly, the container companies, the Yukons, DFDS and so on, operate to Rotterdam, to Antwerp, and can cut on forward from there. For the deep sea markets, one of the interesting things that has happened in 2016, again, more or less accidentally in a way, is that both Maersk in their own right and CMA CGM, which would be the number 1 and the number 3 in terms of the size of ocean lines, have altered the way in which they feed containers from Ireland. And they have both come onto a port in the very south of Spain called Algeciras. It's close to Marbella for people in the northern world. And what this means is they can take a container on a ship out of Dublin and run straight down to Algeciras in a matter of a couple of days, join a ship and head out to the Far East or Africa or India. and save about 10 days, maybe even a fortnight, compared to the previous routes, which took you to Southampton or London, or indeed to Rotterdam. So there's a lot of development done by people like Maersk, and CMA have done a rather similar thing. And other lines will be are in the process of examining other new ways of doing things. Air freight alternatives. Air freight is a curious one. For air freight to the States, nothing changes. For because most of that is flown out of Ireland. The stuff that is taken by truck to Britain and sent on by plane from Manchester, East Midlands or London could be a problem. The stuff that's going to Luxembourg or Amsterdam might be a problem. But anybody who is involved in the business will know that a number of years ago, when Etihad and Emirates started flying from Ireland, that suddenly eased out the problem, because you could now go to Dubai and from there onward to all the foreign destinations. And in the summer, Qatar Airways will introduce a Dublin connection as well, again adding to the capabilities to fly directly from Dublin to deep sea destinations. And for many products who you would not traditionally have thought of being very important in the whole export picture, say a number of the seafood products and so on, the availability of these links through the Middle East to Australia, to New Zealand, and places like that, and to China, has been absolutely magic, and has increased the volumes, the ability to sell into those markets. So there are issues. Irish airports will have to up the game as well, but that's a conversation for another day. But all I think I'm trying to do this morning is to say, just because of Brexit, yes, it is quite scary. Yes, there are going to be huge problems, but there are a great number of ways to literally get around the problem. And that was really my point this morning, to get that across, and probably to look more actively at the various routes and options that are around the place. So that's me. Anybody dare raise a question? No, that's grand. I'll be around the rest of the day. I'm even down to speaking on some panel later this afternoon, so you can catch me there. Thank you very much indeed.